Doo-doo. Hello, everybody. We are on a little earlier today because I have some late night plans, so I'm not committing already to the time schedule, but today we are starting a little early and ending a little early just because I have later night plans, but I will go for the full hour as always, maybe even longer depending on, I'm just waiting for some people later on, but as always, answer any questions in the chat box and just casually talk. It's been a busy first half of the week, but happy to answer any questions. For those of you guys just trickling in, I am just doing a little early today because I have some late night plans. Let me know if the mic or camera is not doing very well, but hopefully the quality is sustaining. I know last week I was in Nag's Head and the video quality and the audio quality wasn't as hot, but yes, I am doing a little early today just because I have some plans later, but we'll stay on for the full hour and answer any questions in the comment box. And hopefully, unlike last time, I actually have access to the questions in the comments because last time I unfortunately did not have the questions weren't popping up in the chat box. All right, here we go. What is like the culture of work startups and cons? I think different than banking, startups is a lot more level-headed. There's not much structure. Everyone's trying to figure stuff out. I think with that obviously comes the cons of there's no one telling you directly what to do and you really have to figure out what you want to do on your own. And people come from all sorts of backgrounds, which I think is a good thing and a bad thing, but there's a slightly less feeling of uptightness, but obviously you have to keep the ball rolling. An analogy that we like to use is we're building the ship as it's sailing. So there's a lot of figuring out to do, whereas in banking, you're basically repeating the same thing that people have been doing for hundreds and hundreds of years. Would you like to be a blockchain developer? I don't even know what that entails. I know blockchain is hot. I don't know if I'm smart enough to be a blockchain developer. I think crypto is cool. It sounds cool from what it sounds like, but I don't know much about it to be a developer. I think coding is cool. I studied coding a bit in college, but I'm definitely not smart enough to be a blockchain developer. Is investment or like working for like a Chase bank? I'm sure they'll take you if you have finance experience, but I would argue like not to demean private bankers, but that's a step down. But correct me if you're talking about a different type of private banking. My boy Brian, yep, it's your boy. So I graduated with a degree in computer science in December 2019. I want to switch careers to IB. Do I still have a chance or is it too late? I'm 24. First of all, if you graduated a degree with computer science, I'm not sure why you would want to jump to IB. I think computer science degree is much more valuable than having a career in IB. It's definitely not too late. There aren't many transferable skills. I would recommend getting an MBA or maybe even like a master's in finance for that transition. But I mean, I would highly argue like there's plenty of finance roles that can use your computer science background that probably pays more and is better work-life balance than banking. So I don't know why you would do that. Best target schools in Europe, only one I know is London School of Economics. I don't really know the European sphere of banking, but that's the only target school that I know of. I'm very limited in my knowledge of Europe, everyone. I'm a typical American that only knows about American things. Brian, is the USC a good school for banking, etc.? Yeah, Marshall School of Business, they have a lot of firms hired directly out of there. I know my old firm definitely did. I don't know about it at a nationwide scale, but definitely for LA-based or LA branch banks, I think USC is one of the go-to schools. I got an offer for a remote internship, but need to pay $2K. If I got into my top tiers, any thoughts? Can you expand on that? I don't know what that means. What do you mean pay $2K for what? To do the internship? How can one find life purpose career-wise? I don't think any career provides life's purpose unless you are like the top 0.1% and you're LeBron James. I don't think any career gives you life purpose. That's very hard to find. And if you seek that in a career, then you're going to be very sad. At least that's what I've hit in my 2 years of working. What school was most represented at your last firm? Well, I mean, I was in a Midwest firm, so a lot of Indiana University kids, a lot of Notre Dame kids. WashU and St. Louis was very frequent. How's your work-life balance nowadays? It's decent. I think there are days where it's super busy. I mean, we're not client-facing per se, like a professional services like banking, so there's no like last-minute work. We always know like what's in the pipeline, but there are some times where managers are asking for things, but we are building. So it's important to get work done fast. What made you want to do banking initially? Sorry if you get that a lot. No. I think I got it. I got into banking just because it was a easy thing to do out of my school. My school was a target school. A lot of banks hired directly from it. It seemed like a logical thing to do, and I liked being risk averse. So I jumped into it because it seemed like the most logical thing to do. Is a part-time job in finance as good as internships for breaking into IB? I never had experience with part-time jobs, but I'm sure basically it's the equivalent of internships. I will say if you're transitioning into banking, they are looking for that summer internship experience the summer prior. But I'm sure having it is a good thing. BB operational analyst or BB compliance analyst is a fresh graduate. I'll be open and say I don't know anything about either or. But I'm sure bulge bracket experience in any field or role type is a great thing. Where are your friends that were in that one live? So that was last Wednesday. I had 3 friends join me. I guess you only saw one of them on screen. Will is back in New York City. Connor, I think, is at his sister's graduation at my school in Virginia, but he's based out of Maryland, Baltimore. And Andrew is back in San Francisco. Optimum, I'm guessing you mean optimal years of work experience before pursuing MBA. I heard 4 to 6 years. Any advice for recruiting for a hedge fund straight from undergrad? I don't know anyone personally that's done that. I think you obviously need a very intrinsic love for the public markets and understanding of financial modeling and just picking stocks or bonds or whatever. Do you reckon dating is a waste of time during 20s? That's a great question. I think it depends on the person. I'm a big believer. I'm a man of faith, but I'm also a big believer in no coincidences. If someone comes into your life and you feel like that's the one, why not? But I think in our generation, there's a lot of mentality of let's build myself first and let's jump around and explore as many things as possible. And you could perceive a loved one as a setback. And perhaps if you view your loved one as a setback, then you probably shouldn't be dating that person. But I mean, 20s very bluntly is when you are the best condition in terms of like physical attributes. You have the most liberty. I think it's important to date a lot. And I'm not following my own advice being single. How do you suggest really standing out in a virtual internship? Communication. If you have no access to them in person, if you can't meet them in person and there's no hallway conversations, you got to let them know that you're there and constantly tell them what you're working on. That's really important. Is being an entrepreneur running $500,000 company helpful if you want to get an MBA? If you're an entrepreneur running a $500,000 company, you should not go get an MBA. You should keep running that company. Is IB or asset management interested in fintech startup alumni? Sure, in the sense that it's still finance, but I have not seen many people make that transition. Guys, I think something that I really want to clear up is there's largely only 2 ways you can get into banking statistically. It's right out of undergrad or through an MBA program as an associate. This like lateral transition from external roles is rarely seen, at least in my experience. You think management of information systems is safe for both a career in finance and tech? I don't know anyone with that major that has gone into IB, but I'm sure it's a great major. Information systems is hot right now. Do you reckon mathematics is better than traditional fin or econ? Math, I think, is a very hot major. I actually just wrote a blog post saying that majoring in STEM is the GOAT. I would major in math if you have the capacity / capability to do so and you're smart enough to do so. What do you think is a good summer internship for a rising sophomore? Brokerage firm, wealth management, etc. So for reference, I was working at a nonprofit firm and worked at a restaurant at night. So I'm of the big school of thought that it doesn't matter. But if you have the ability to do so, do something finance related. Can a CFA substitute for an MBA? Nope. I would say MBA is much more helpful for banking. I would say I've rarely seen people that only have a CFA. I've seen people that have an MBA and then get a CFA. Are you getting any of the 2? Not in the time being. Definitely not CFA. MBA maybe. Should I get my MBA and go for the associate role, or go straight into IB analyst after my BBA finance? Straight after if you can. MBAs are expensive and it's a time suck. Oh no, Matt. Oh no. Yes, I agree. Can an international student apply for jobs in the U.S.? Yes, possibly boutiques. By self-applying for work pass or sponsorship? Yes. How's the situation now? Any new guidelines? I don't know any like law things, but I would make sure to check on the website / firm and network with the HR person as much as possible, just because A lot of them don't necessarily sponsor. I know my bank didn't sponsor any internationals. It's important to just make sure you check and check beforehand before you apply. Becker Brown, what's up? Anthony, what's your job right now? I work for a startup. Alternative, which schools in U.S. provides the best opportunities for MBA? M7. So if you're asking about which MBA programs are the best, just the top 7. Obviously, I don't know at the top of my head, but your typical subjects like Harvard, Stanford, etc. What to do about failed units in uni? I've gotten that question a lot before. I have friends who failed classes before. One fun thing is I have never sent my transcript to any for starters. I've never failed a class before, but I've never sent my transcript. I think to the extent that it doesn't affect your GPA, like I don't think it's a problem. I wouldn't worry about it showing up your transcript. I've never really heard of many banks that ask for transcripts. If they do, I think there's ways to explain it. I'm sure you have a good reason why you failed. JP or BAML? I'm going to get in trouble for doing this, but I think JP is better. BAML, I've heard mixed things. There's also that whole thing about Bank of America is it a commercial bank. JP. After I get an MBA, what positions in my finance should I look into to kick off my career? So after you get an MBA, your sphere is pretty wide open. You can get into anything. A lot of firms, a lot of very high level finance firms, banks, hedge funds, PE shops directly hire MBAs. So the world is your oyster. For those of you joining now, I'm happy to answer any questions on the side. I started a little earlier today and ending a little early because I have some plans in the evening, but happy to answer any questions as always. Is the experience gained from IB that everyone talks about really worth it? I don't know about the direct experience, but I think the level of professionalism that you get in an expedited amount of time, the stress management, the time management that you get, and the network and just the label of having IB on your resume for what it's worth is definitely worth it. Are you just skipping my questions? No, Shin, I did not see any of your questions in my feed. Maybe the chat is wrong, but I am not skipping any questions. Credit analyst to hedge fund PE via MBA. Yeah, as I said before, MBA opens up doors, and a lot of people go to hedge funds through MBAs. I'm considering a PA internship in Chicago, and since you live in Chicago, can you talk about the culture of the city, social life? Yeah, great question, Travis. Chicago is dope. I think it's a very clean city. It's a very accessible city. Downtown is very walkable. It's cheap in relativity to other cities like New York. There's a lot of young people, great bar scene, great nightlife, phenomenal food, lots of job opportunities, especially in finance. There's the Board of Trade here. Top-notch city. Why don't you go into VC or PE after banking or even go to work for a hedge fund? Smiley face. I think finance wasn't for me at the moment. I don't know if the future will hold it for me, but that's just not something I wanted to look into. I wanted to build something from the ground up, and the opportunity presented itself, and it seemed like the right thing to do. Would LA be a good place to work as an investment banker? LA is definitely not like financial hub. I think San Francisco, if any, in California is bigger. Or would you personally recommend any other cities with similar type of weather? Ooh. There's some Texas cities that are booming with banking. I would say no city compares in terms of weather plus finance orientation to LA. Do you think Citibank in Florida is a good place to work straight out of college as an analyst? I frankly have no idea. I don't know anyone in Citibank in Florida, but Citibank's a good bank. But I don't know anyone in Citibank in Florida. PE in C Asia or finance BD in BAML, financial goal. Thanks in advance, Jonathan Lee. Guys, and Jonathan, no disrespect to your question, but frankly, I think the biggest questions that I have trouble with is this very specific opportunity versus this specific very opportunity. I don't know. I'm not an expert in all these very specific opportunities, and frankly, I don't even know what these jobs actually do. I think that's a big problem with our society. We don't know what specific jobs do. When we hear doctor, we know what it's about, but when you hear finance, back office, and BAML, I'm not sure what that actually entails. I will say I don't know if back office is the greatest start to a career. Any books you read or advance on how to speak as good as you? I think this is just a product of one, my parents being very eloquent and talking to people, two, me inherently liking talking, and then my liberal arts education, which prompted me to speak on command and argue with my peers a lot. I've never read a book on talking. UBS or CS for IB. So I'm guessing that's UBS or Credit Suisse. I've heard great things about both. They're both very well and renowned banks. Is there a friend whose job you're jealous of? Friend whose job I'm jealous of. My friend Shinya or Dylan, who are semi-professional soccer players. Can you quickly give a quick overview about how to learn about the world of credit? Gene, I'm sorry to say, I know nothing about the world of credit. How would you rank the IB scene out of New York, like LA, Texas, Atlanta, Chicago? I would say Chicago at the top. Bias aside, I mean, a lot of finance is centered here. And then I think Atlanta has a lot of good PE shops. LA has some banks. Texas is booming with a lot of their like utilities, oil, and new tech stuff. What is the startup you work at? It's in stealth mode, so I can't talk about it. Could you see yourself in the future eventually leaving your job and starting your own company? Yes, that is what I would ideally like to do, but I don't know what timing that will be, and who knows where I will be called next. I have a lot of aspirations. I have a lot of thoughts on what I want to do in the future. I don't know if building my own business / firm is how to do it. I even have thoughts about going off and doing something really crazy like becoming a stand-up comedian. But I would like to start a business, at least start my own restaurant at some point. Think he keeps that private. I do. Is it worth getting an online MBA? Is it not a top? If it's not a top school, is it worth it at all? This is going to be very blunt and perhaps very negatively spun advice, but I think online anything is not very great. And on top of that, I think if it's not top 7, I've heard arguments that it's probably not worth that 300 grand. As a current analyst, what to expect in terms of comp if exiting to tech? Most tech firms, especially the big ones, if they're hiring like consulting, banking background people, they're pretty competitive. I think your base will either go up, definitely stay the same. You'll get some kind of stock compensation. Your work life will become better. There's a whole new skill set to be learned. I would not worry about comp. Can CS majors get into IB? Yes, I've seen that happen, but I would highly encourage if you have a CS major, don't go into IB. Thoughts on Wells Fargo IB? I have a lot of friends in Wells Fargo IB. I don't know many people that overly enjoy it. I think largely it's not New York based. There's a lot of commercial banking related stuff, and Wells Fargo has definitely had its fair share of ups and downs recently. But it's a good place to start people's careers. I think people have done well out of it. Do you have a video on starting? Do you have a video on starting a video on IB from scratch, especially modeling and tech stuff? Slightly confused on what that question means, but I have no videos on modeling and tech stuff. Hedge fund or IB internship for preparing for sophomore spring recruiting. If you can get a hedge fund internship, why not? I think that's much cooler than an IB internship. Start a YouTube series where you attempt to start your own business and walk us through each stage. Actually, funny that you mentioned that. There is something that I'm working on with my friends on the side that is coming soon. I'm relatively working on it. I don't know if it's going to be released on this channel, but what you just described will be coming at some point. Is Fin Econ degree useless compared to STEM for banking? No. I mean, Fin Econ at the end of the day is most relevant for banking. I guess what I mean by get a STEM degree is if you want to fall back on something and you realize banking is not for you, having a STEM degree is far more useful than having a Fin/Econ degree. Hey, Brian, I found your channel recently and it's really informative, so I wanted to say thanks. Thank you. My question is, how difficult is the math when majoring in finance? What's the hardest it will get? It's not hard at all. It's as my engineering friends mock me for. At the best, it's addition, subtraction. I would not worry about it. Chicago or New York? Chicago or New York? Sorry, some of my friends texted me something. I'm a Chicago fan. I am also a big New York fan. New York is my favorite weekend hangout spot. I have a lot of buddies in New York. A lot of my closest friends are in New York. I can see myself living in New York someday. But I think Chicago's cheaper. It's cleaner. It's cold. Everyone sees it differently. I like Chicago, but I could also see myself in New York. Thoughts on the FIRE movement? Big fan of the FIRE movement. Who likes working? I inherently think that people lie to themselves about enjoying working. There's a difference between finding fulfillment through achievements versus enjoying work. I want to retire early. I want financial independence. I don't know if 40 is my age. I don't know if 35 is my age. I think I'm someone that's going to continually want to do something, but I would like to retire early. What do you think of commercial real estate as a division in banking? I don't know much about commercial real estate as a division in banking, but real estate is hot. If you can get into it, why not? Which engineering majors have you seen to get into IB? All sorts, industrial, chemical, mechanical. Banking for some reason really likes engineering. Every job likes engineering. Engineering is almost the epitome of academia. It puts As Wells Fargo IB analyst here, I don't join Wells Fargo. Brian, can you be more specific in terms of what's expected in terms of equity, stock options, comp, and tech? Can you do anything outside of corp dev? It really depends on the company, what stage they're in. Jason, can you do anything outside of corp dev? Yeah. You can do like ops stuff, strategy stuff. It doesn't have to be finance/M&A related. Your playlist, Spotify. I don't use Spotify. Sorry, everyone. I use Apple Music. I make these playlists that are a pun on the word vibes. I'll actually pull it up right now. So, and I'm also, as most YouTube personalities like myself, I'm half kidding, are self-obsessed. So hopefully this shows up. But all of my playlists have my face on it, and they're different. Play on words on vibes. So I have vibes, which are like ballad vibes, chives, which are Chicago vibes, vibes, which are Irvine vibes, vac caves, which are vacation vibes, things like that. I'm a big pop music guy. I love some like more obscure, I guess slightly less mainstream things I like. I like Flatbush Zombies, if anyone knows what that is. I also like Odd Future. Guys, for those of you just joining, I started a little early today. I'm going to be ending in about an hour or like 40 minutes or so. Answering every question on the comment section. If you have a dying question for whatever reason, do a little super chat thing and send like the lowest amount you can send so that you can shoot it to the top. But I'm going to go through every question. Got any friends in corporate development? I don't, but I've heard good things. As long as you're in a cool company. What exit careers can I take after IB? Lots. Startup like me, big tech, PE, hedge fund, buy-side VC. Any book recommendations? I've been reading Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman recently. It talks about how we should not believe in our inherent understanding/believe in statistics. Do you think corporate finance is a good career straight out of undergrad? I think I'm going to settle this question once and for all. I think any career could be a good career. Any career could be a bad career out of undergrad. It's really hard to answer, like, is blank a good career out of undergrad? I know it's a cop-out answer, and I really don't mean to be mean, but I think like all these very direct, like, is this a good thing for this question is like somewhat fishing for answers. And I think I would like to give you those answers and say, yeah, it's a great career, but like I'd be lying if I said that. I think every career, every person has a different path. Would you recommend anything other than IB straight out of university with similar salary in the finance industry? There's not much in the finance industry with similar salary that you can get right out of undergrad unless you could scheme your way into the buy side. What would it take for you to go back to banking? Wow. I've thought about this before. I mean, it's definitely possible. I think it's a very easy thing to do with my background if it really came to that. If I realize that this path is not for me, I need some kind of stable income. Maybe I get married and I need to support a family. If I suddenly miss advisory, if I find an opportunity back at home or whatever that really makes sense for me, I've definitely considered it. And it's definitely a back of the burner thing. I've always said on this channel, banking is a great start to a career. Banking is a great career if you can handle the stress. I've not canceled it out of my plans for the longer term future. Will you ever release an actual skincare routine, not that parody one you made? You know, honestly, I made that as a joke, but I'm sorry to say, like, maybe it's just genetics, but that parody video that I made is pretty real. I don't do any form of skincare aside from splashing water in my face in the morning and putting some level of like moisturizer. I have no skincare routine. I'm sorry. What do you think of corporate banking as a career? I said before, I'm not sure. I don't know much about corporate banking, but you can turn any career into a good career. Do you think investment bankers will eventually be replaced by AI technology? I have a direct video answer on that, but no, I think advisory is something that needs a human touch. What is the average comp at 5EO? I don't know what 5EO is, sorry. What do you think are the best experiences you can have on a resume for IB? I mean, obviously, like direct finance experience, that's going to stand out. But any level of experience that shows that you have grit, you have an understanding for professional services, any club you can join, obviously is a plus, but I think you could spend anything for IB. What do you think are, Fave, anime, or manga? These are the questions I want to answer. I know this doesn't technically count as anime. I know the type of question you're asking. I really like Studio Ghibli. I'm a big like Porco Rosso fan. I know Spirit Away. I love those kind of films. I'm not like a big like Naruto or Bleach or One Piece guy. I like feature films a lot. Your music taste is OG New York. Yeah, I love Odd Future. Big ASAP fan. Sick middle part, bro. Yep. Rocking the middle part. Rocking the I'm 50 years old and hate my life part. Did your parents push for a career in engineering or medical field, or were they cool? They were cool. MBB is nice. I've heard MBB is nice. Will you make an update video on your current job? I did. What's your morning routine? This is going to sound kind of BSy because this sounds very generic, like career YouTuber, but I've had a pretty like standardized, proud of myself morning routine recently. I typically wake up at like 6:30, 7 a.m. and then I work out. I read the Bible for a bit, and then I listen to music, take a shower, check emails, work on my side hustles for a bit, and then jump into work. If you were to go back to banking, and hypothetically, if you can have your pick of the crowd, which firm would you like to work at? I don't want to get in trouble, so I'm not going to name any specific firms, but I would like experience in a new city. So like maybe an SF bank or a New York bank. Years of experience. Oh, 5. Okay. Got it. What are some things one can do in a VC internship if they haven't taken any college classes on it? VC is very much about a subjective angle and thinking really as a personal investor in sourcing deals from what I've heard. And there's always new ventures to be made. And it's really about who has the coolest, newest ideas and are able to seek out these opportunities that others don't know. So it's very research-based, networking-based. Are there trading firms with very good comp not based in New York City or Chicago? Walter, I'm not sure. I'm sure there are, but I'm not sure specifically. Thoughts on IB paying COVID bonuses to retain talent? I got one of those bonuses. I think it's a smart thing to do. I think it's somewhat the least they can do. Does Pokemon count as anime? If it does, I love Pokemon. Gotta catch them all. Do you believe someone with the Master's of Accounting with a CPA can get into investment banking or private equity? Yes, it's definitely been done. I've seen people that jump from Big Four accounting with that exact background, jump into banking. I'm not sure about private equity, but definitely banking. Starting my junior year in college this fall, I'm majoring in quant econ. What should I focus to get an internship? How do I get connections? Use your school as a network and start networking. That's the best way to do it. Favorite K-pop group? Blackpink, baby. Team Jenny. Does your real estate internship seem with it in your view if it's all the financial services opportunities that I have? Yeah, you should take advantage of everything you could possibly do. Beyond Hajima. Yep. I mean, that's a big bang, right? Do you think IB is a good career to go into if you wanted to one day start your own private equity fund? Yes, that's probably one of the best things you can do. Brian, it's Jalen. Hey, Jalen. I had a JP Morgan Super Day today for an equity research summer analyst position, and it went really. Oh, hell yeah! I'm glad I took your advice. That's awesome. I hope for the best and keep me updated in the way that you can. What can kids in high school do in a VC internship? I didn't even know kids in high school can get VC internships. Good for you. What can they do to learn? Just listen to what they're telling you to do. If you're in high school, like that's crazy. How do you feel about becoming an equity derivative trader for a bank after undergrad? I think that'd be great if you're interested in equity derivative trading. I did hear that trading takes a very specific type of person. Bye, Brian. Thanks for answering my question. Go back to sleep. Bye. Do you need to be good at math for IB? No, you can depend on Excel. I mean, obviously being good at mental math and understanding mathematic concepts as a whole is a good thing, but you don't need to be a mathematician. You just need to know addition. You need to know arithmetic. That's it. Do you recommend CFA designation for persons that didn't have to enter the investment banking industry yet? I wish I could I probably can using software, but these frequent questions, you don't need a CFA to get into banking. And I think it's becoming less and less like it's never a requirement. I'm not Asian, but how the hell is your hair styled so well? I'm not sure what that has to do with being Asian, but genetics, I guess. Any experience with elitism in finance? There's elitism in any, I think, prestigious job. Definitely, there's a level of like, oh, you went to this school, whatnot. Not much at my firm, actually, but that also has to do with the fact that my firm was consisted of only a handful of schools. Best first year summer internship to get into IB internship later in college. This isn't supposed to be a smart ass answer, but probably IB internship. Would you recommend to IB career platform Lawyer Path? Oh, from Lawyer Path. I've seen people do it, but like, why go through the trouble of getting a law degree if you're just going to go into IB? What are the best internships and job to get in during college if you want AB analyst? I've answered that already. Where do you see yourself settling down? Is there a woman in your life? Thanks for your insight. When do you see yourself settling down? Honestly, I want to settle down. I've been jumping around so much. I really want to settle down, but it's like this weird idea of like, if I settle down now, can I never go back to jumping around again? And am I settling for settling? It's like a scary thought that us Gen Z people have. There is no woman in my life. And I don't know how that was an insight, but I am single. How stressful was IB? IB was stressful. My math EOC is tomorrow, bro. Oh, Ian, I'm sorry. I'll pray for you. I'm sure it'll do well. You should not be on this live stream. You should probably go study. How do you maintain stress? I punch a pillow down to the bed. Just kidding. I work out. I listen to very heavy music. I open the window and feel the breeze. I pray. I sometimes stress eat, which is probably not a good thing. What do I need to major in order to get into IB? You can major in anything, but the typical things are typically finance or accounting or econ or business. I love you. Love my fans too. Did you have to use any accounting software or was it mostly Excel? Excel. Brian, I love you, man. Your video were peak helpful when I was recruiting. That's great to hear. I hope it helped, and I hope your recruiting processes all worked out very well. I'm going to drink water really quick, but these are great questions, guys. Just for those of you joining, I'm trying to shy away from all these, like, is this job good for banking? Is this job better than this job? I don't know many of these jobs. I'm happy to speak on like banking experience in general, but I'm not really sure of these specific rules. All right. Is the stress and pressure in banking over-exaggerated? I think so, somewhat. I think people need to understand what they're signing up for. At the end of the day, there's a lot more worse things you can be in than getting paid 6 figures at age 21. But at the same time, I think there are some absurd things. I think the biggest issue is there are things that don't need to happen that managers push down your throat just because it's the way that you do it. And for people that question authority inherently, it's not a very unstressful thing to be part of. Have you visited Korea? I've visited Korea multiple times. I actually grew up in Korea for a bit. And I immigrated here when I was 6. I visited Korea 4 or 5 times since then. The last time I visited was in 2019. Do you watch any Korean yeonings? I watch a lot of Korean yeonings. I've been watching Norman Moani recently. I watch replays of Blunders a lot. I'm a big Radio Star fan. Those are probably my top yeonings. I have a Korean channel, Travis, if you want to check it out. You're amazing. Thank you. You ever go to Blackhawks or Bulls game? Okay, Kyle, great question. Fun fact, I had very nice tickets through my banking rule. But I had box tickets to the Bulls game. I had front row tickets to the Blackhawks game for the end of March 2020. And then, you know, what happened last March 2020. So, no, I've never been to either game, sadly. How sad is that? What anime are you currently watching? I am not watching any anime. Sorry. Are you getting tired of answering IB questions and finance questions? I don't think tired is the right word. I'm happy to answer them. I mean, that's what this channel was built upon, and that's what I'm kind of getting paid by Google to do. But I am getting tired of like questions that I just don't have the answers to. And I think a lot of times people fish for answers and they ask like these questions where they have an answer in the back of their mind and they just want me to say the answer that they're thinking of. And I just don't have that answer, / I'm not going to give you that answer. What's the weather like in Chicago? Right now it's perfect. It's like California weather. It's like 80 degrees. But it gets super cold. What do you think is the most interesting job / career? Wow. Personally, I would say cook or like Logan Paul, who can do anything and anything and get paid to do it. What's one great tip for making a good resume? I think highlighting and being very specific in what you've done and not being shy about bragging about the things that you've done. Could you simply explain the difference between majoring in finance and econ? Difference in terms of like outcome and difference in between like what you're actually doing. Thoughts on Joe Biden? I mean, I've said this before. I think I've said it in my blogs. I tend to lean conservative. I don't really know what Joe Biden has done so far. The press has been very quiet since Trump's presidency in terms of what the president's been doing. He seems to be like the middle ground candidate. I'm happy to talk about politics, probably in another setting, but feelings are probably, I think neutral would be an overstatement, but I don't think he's done anything controversial so far. Do investment banking analysts travel a lot? They used to, definitely not anymore, but at least in my firm, I traveled more than the average, I think, 21-year-old. Why do Ivy banks never hire sponsorship candidates? They do sometimes, but I think they have enough, unfortunately, for international students, they have enough of a talent pool in the States that they don't need to sponsor. When did you start playing golf? I started playing golf like legitimately last summer. What are your thoughts on quant trading? I mean, that's big money. Like if you can get into that, like that is top dollar. That is how you make real money. Is it common for banks to have suites or nice tickets for sporting events? Yes. I've had that money many times when I was in banking and before these crazy COVID times. In banking, what was the most common lingo or phrase I was used that any incoming people should know? I mean, besides from like the finance terms, like circle back, first stab, discuss offline, happy to discuss offline, things like that. I actually have a video making fun of that way back. Do you still stay connected to the MDs or VPs after exiting the firm? There are some that I stay connected with and some associates that I talk to. How'd you tell your team that you were leaving? I called my closest peers and then sent an email firm-wide. What's your guilty pleasure as it relates to food? Big carb guy. I just like take half a box of Barilla pasta and just gorge like 4 servings of garlic pasta in one sitting. What does networking look like in college? It depends. You can go to events. There's some college career events that colleges host. Other times I would call people based off like an alumni network database. The difference between what you would learn overall. What are the key differences in what you learn? I never majored in econ, so I don't know. And I wasn't a finance major, so I don't know. But in accounting, you learn how to do accounting. Do you have a specific gym routine, PPL? So I do abs and cardio every day. And then I switch back and forth between and legs and like squatting. And then I do arms and shoulders one day and then back and chest the other day. When you were in IB, how frequently did you have to follow news? No, like over like more macro level, like how the economy's doing, what's hot, any new tax laws that have to do with the industry that I was working with, but I wasn't like scraping the news. How common are Patagonia vests? Too damn frequent, too damn common. Not a fan of them. From India, working in retail bank in India. Is that even considered experience? Yeah. I mean, retail banking is definitely experience. Do you know Zach Dempsey from 13 Reasons Why? I do not. What's the funniest thing that happened in IB? I once was so nervous, shaking the CEO over, or I guess he was like global co-CEO over a company, that like my hands are sweaty. I shook his hand and he said, he was like, "Hey, how are you?" He said, "Hi, hey, how are you?" And then I said, "My name is Brian." And then I ran away. My response of him saying, "Hey, how are you?" was me saying, "My name is Brian." And then I ran away. Have you got a handicap for golf or more just a social thing? Yeah, I'm not even good enough to know even what a handicap is. I play like 110 on a good day. Do people in IB party a lot or no to party? Because you're late working. I think people in IB, people in their 20s party a lot in general. Any tips for international students looking into breaking IB? Make sure the IB firm that you're trying to go into sponsors before you join. Have you had people or friends, random people, ask you to refer them to your company when you're in IB? Yep. What did you think of that? I mean, you got to take your chances, right? I mean, I didn't look down on them, but I rarely did it on their behalf unless I thought they were a good candidate. What should I do as an incoming undergrad to find out what I want to do in life? Good question. If you're an incoming undergrad, I think take a breather, like enjoy life. You're going to be a freshman, enjoy college. But just think about like, don't use class as a reference point. I don't think classes necessarily tell you like what a job entails. I would just explore jobs, like go on Google and type in like, what does a doctor actually do? What does a software engineer actually do? What does a banker literally do? And then think about like, if I was in that setting, is that something that I would enjoy? Is it worth the pain? Is it worth the money? Do you play any games or watch any shows? I actually don't play any video games besides like Tetris. I suck at video games. I used to play League when I was in high school for a little bit, but I sucked at it, so I stopped playing it. And the people that I played with kind of sucked, so I stopped playing it. TV shows, I recently kind of watched Grey's Anatomy. It went downhill. Didn't watch it anymore. I finished Queen's Gambit. I'm not like I've been watching Bad Batch, the Star Wars Clone Wars show on Disney. Where is the best place to look for credible internships? Do you typically do an internship the summer of junior year or just senior year? I did an internship after every single year. I'd say the most credible is your school career website. How do you prepare for your how did you prepare for your IB interview? I looked online for resources and I networked very heavily, and I worked with people that already had IB jobs. What do you think about doing IB and then using skills to develop the analyst to automate an area of finance? I think it's a very smart thing to do. It would require some level of software engineering. It would require some level of understanding of automation, but everything's become automated, so why not? What do you think about consulting as a career? Overrated, underrated? Consulting is hot. Consulting is hot right now, and I think, if anything, consulting opens more doors and is less of a niche industry than banking. I would recommend consulting for anyone that has the ability to do so. My school just didn't have the resources for consulting. Thoughts on getting an engineering degree and then going to iBanking? I know many people have done it. Many finance careers that are better for engineering students. Why not just be an engineer? If you're going to be an IB person, don't go into engineering, because engineering is a lot of work. If you have an engineering degree, just go into engineering. Hi, thanks for the great videos. Thank you. Any videos for MBAs looking to transition to IB from non-finance backgrounds? If you're at an MBA program, then transitioning to banking would not require you to have a finance background. That's the whole point of an MBA. Queen's Gambit was amazing. Yeah, I'm a big fan of mini-series. I think jumping into a series with the fear it's going to end poorly, but the fact that Queen's Gambit was 7 episodes and it was said and done, like that was huge to me. Huge Anya Taylor-Joy fan. Yeah, the show was phenomenal. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would you live? Right now, I kind of want to have some experience living in like Japan. I really enjoyed my time there when I was there for a week, but I don't know what I would do there. Is it worth getting WSP, BYWS to prep for interviews, or is it Wall Street Pip just researching? I think there's plenty of free resources. I wouldn't pay for anything. If you're a Fed chair, would you raise interest rates? I would not. I would lower them. What was the toughest part of your interviews for IB? I'd say technicals. I came from a liberal arts background, so technical questions were very self-driven, I should say. The Instagram. Sorry, someone sent me something funny on Instagram. I'm being distracted. What is the political culture in IB? More conservatives in general. More conservatives than the rest of the 20s age group demographic, young professionals, sure. Definitely, probably fiscally conservative, I would say. But that's just an assumption. Hello, Brian. How do you break into an IB bank if you do not make it to target school? Networking. That's probably your best bet. Do you have any friends in consulting? I have lots of friends in consulting. I would argue, I was going to say I have more friends in consulting than banking. That's probably not true. People that enjoy it really enjoy it. People that don't enjoy it really don't enjoy it. Pre-COVID, some people really didn't like traveling. A lot of people didn't like the broadness of it. But I think if you join like Big Four consulting, or MBB, I should say, there's people that really enjoy it. Is it tough to work in the IB industry if you get your undergrad in Canada? Canada. No, I've been speaking to plenty of students that are in Canada, and it seems like there's a lot of good co-op opportunities, a lot of good programs at so-called target schools in Canada. I don't think it's hard at all. I don't know if it's probably hard to get into the U.S. market, but it's definitely possible. What are your thoughts on the current housing market? Will house prices go down post-COVID and interest rate increase? A number of things. I think post 08, post the financial crisis, a lot of people have been prepping a lot ever since the housing market has popped to buy a house. And last year, through stocks, through Bitcoin, whatever, a lot of people became cash rich, and they're finally trying to buy houses due to the continuation of lack of foreclosure laws and interest rates and whatever, all the financial things coming together, some things beyond my pay grade. I think one is a big issue of a lack of houses. Not many houses are on. So the few houses that are on are getting inflated. People are rich, so cash buyers are outdoing finance buyers. So there's this huge bubble right now, but it's not really a bubble because people aren't taking mortgages. People are actually buying these houses. So I think housing prices will continue to rise. What do you prefer, living alone or living with roommates? Hopefully my roommate's not watching this. I have a very good relationship with my roommate. I think there's merits to both. I'm an extrovert. I think I'll get lonely living alone. But there's obviously, benefits of living alone. I typically lived alone most of my life, as in I've never like shared a room really with anyone. But you got to save money somehow. Is IB very on the job training based? I don't know what that means. Or is it a lot of what you do directly related? Oh, yes. It's very on the job training based. I would say 99% on the job training based. Not much of what you learn in school will translate very well. Thoughts on corp development rules? I don't know anyone directly that's in them, but I've heard very fun things depending on what company you join. How did you decide what industry you were division? I largely based it off of the people in the group. How to survive an IB? Just keep swimming. Off-topic question. Let's do this. I love off-topic questions. Please ask me off-topic questions. I like off-topic better. Did you watch the Korean series Iris? I have not, but I know what it is. Thank you for the great content. Greetings from Argentina. Thank you. Yeah, I've never watched it. I know what Iris is. I've watched a fair number of Korean shows. I forget who's in Iris, but I know the show. I've never watched it. Do you have a significant other? Nope, Jacob. I am single and kind of ready to mingle. I don't know. On the Ivy Business School, thoughts on Ivy Business School in Canada? I know nothing about Ivy School in Canada. Kim Tae the GOAT. Kim Tae the GOAT. Kim Tae the GOAT. How old are you? I'm 23, and I am 6, 7, wow, I can't count. 3 months away from being 24. Lee Byung-on and Kim Tae and Iris. Yep, those people are the GOATs. What's the IB scene in Korea? I don't know. I don't think IB is very big in Korea. There's a lot of like financial restrictions in Korea, and Korea is not the most like free economy capitalism that you'd imagine. So the IB market is not as free willing as Wall Street in the United States, in my understanding. Sorry, everyone. I'm going to take a quick water break. I'm going to stay for 13 minutes longer. I just have some friends that I'm meeting up with, so I can't stay too long. But thanks, guys, for joining. I'll stay for at least 13 more minutes. But I started a little early today. I know. I'm typically going to be on at 10 p.m. Eastern, but today I started a little early. Do you own a car or just living the city commuter lifestyle? Great question. So in Chicago, I have no car. Back at home, I do have a car, and I'm probably going to have to commute once I move back and work for the startup in person. But I do not have any question. I do not have a car here. When I worked for my firm here, I walked, and right now I work from home, so there is no commuting. Would you consider yourself a libertarian? No, I would consider myself a conservative. Did you find yourself with a lot of free time during university? Was there a time to work part-time or just take it easy? Yeah, I found myself with a lot of free time in university. I never worked part-time. I was an RA, but it was pretty easy. I enjoyed college very thoroughly. What are your thoughts on becoming old? How do you think the rapid pace change of technology is going to affect us within 20 plus years? Yeah, I'm getting old. I mean, I'm only 23 and I'm feeling old. There's like, I run through, like I meet people on the street, or like I see people that are like 20, 18, 19, like in college. And I'm like, holy crap, they look young. And there's some conversations that I've seen and online that I'm just like, I don't understand the thing they're saying already. And there's such like trends are so fast nowadays. If you don't keep up, like you're already behind. I've kind of given up. I mean, I think I'm young enough for my age, but I'm acknowledging that I'm still old. Which show do you like better? Bad Banks, Billions, or Industry? I don't know Bad Banks. I don't know Industry. Billions, phenomenal. I love Bobby Axelrod. End of sophomore year, IB internships just based on networking, or are there formal processes? There are formal processes. I've seen non-minorities get those jobs. How do I go straight into the buy side? Some buy side opportunities are for direct undergrads. It's just simply applying and a certain level of networking, but I've never done it personally. Your thoughts on private equity? Follow advice to an undergrad student who wants to get into private equity. PE is dope. It's very saturated. There's a lot of PE shops, but I mean that's where the big money's made. But I would recommend IB experience prior if you could. How did you like WNL? Love WNL. Flag back there. I love my school. I think I loved it even more after I got out and reflected on how great of an opportunity it is. It's a great place. Consult our moms on how to get into IB, and we will pay you hand over fist. Consult your moms. I am doing a consulting service one-on-one, so if you guys want to sign up for that, I'm happy to do it. But I don't know if I don't know why I would consult your moms on doing IB. Top binge-worthy series on Netflix: Queen's Gambit. Really, really messed up, but I would watch Jeff Epstein, Filthy Rich. It's a fascinating, disgusting watch. How to recruit in New York from a non-target. Networking, it's not just isolated to New York, but just people in general. I think recruiting for IB from a non-target, it will come down to networking. Let's see. Yes or no diversity programs. I mean, what is going on out there? Very bluntly, like if you are a minority student, if you're a diversity student, like take advantage of the diversity programs. Like, why would you not? Ever thought of law school? I have. I'm interested in law. I'm interested. I like reading. I like writing. I think going back to school is definitely some guys farting out there with their motorcycle, but I think going back to school is an option. Law school is definitely probably the top choice, one of the top choices, but we'll see. Follow-up, are there also informal software internships where you just network with boutique shops? I'm sure there are, Alexander, but I'm not sure personally. Do I need serious exams for IB? Yep, but they'll take care of that once you get hired. What do you think about the increasingly competitive landscape of finance, especially banking up? How can I differentiate myself? It's getting very competitive. Everything is getting competitive. Differentiation, you just gotta excel and do well. Like, I don't know how else to put it. Like, it's everything's so competitive. Like, everyone is doing everything now. You see the rumors about Bill Gates connected to Epstein? I did, and I heard that was like one of the core reasons of the divorce. When I hear things like that, like, are people surprised that like powerful people are connected to powerful people? I think like there's plenty of these like nicer billionaires and not nicer billionaires, but like I think like all these guys, like powerful people are connected to powerful people. I think that shouldn't be a surprise. Why do diversity programs email me as a white male? I don't know. Top 3 things you would tell your college senior yourself. Enjoy senior semester even more and party and hang out as much as you can. Your grades don't matter, Brian. Any chance of getting into IB from risk modeling position at a large bank? I don't know, but I'm sure if it's at a large bank and it's a modeling position. Hablas español un poco. I'm going to butcher this, but yo estudié español en escuela secundaria y yo fui a Tijuana, México para mi iglesia and yo fui a México cada mes por 6 años, but I've obviously lost it all. So I'm not very good anymore. How hard would you say it is to get into consulting via IB hedge fund? I mean, you'd have to do a case study interview. I think that's the biggest bump, but it depends on your school. Yes. Are serious exams tough to pass? No. The firm will pay someone to make sure you pass. Pro-Israel, pro-Palestine. Wow. I'm not even trying to dodge this question. I genuinely don't know enough about it. I will get back to you if you're on the next stream. And let me think more about. Let me look into it more. I know it's a hot button topic. I genuinely don't know. What serious exams do you need to exactly for IB? For me, I needed SIE 63 and 7. All right. Thanks for answering all my questions. Have a great night. Yep. Have a great night. Thanks for joining. By the way, you should consider doing a video or write a community post or something with answers to the most frequently asked questions. That's a great idea. It's a great idea. I'm afraid half the answers are just going to be, I don't know, but that's a great idea. How hard would you say it is to get into consulting versus IB? I think I just answered that question. Have you ever done any options trading? I have not. I'm not smart enough and I'm not bold enough to do so. Do you go back and forth from home in Chicago? I do. But I think I'm going to stay in Chicago till the lease ends, at least for this term. Any thoughts on DC Comics movies will ever be as big as Marvel comic movies? I don't think they'll be as big in terms of like commercial GMV, but I really like this, like, we're not going to build a united universe angle that they're taking, and I'm very excited for the new Batman movie with Robert Pattinson. That movie's going to be phenomenal. Joker was phenomenal. They're going to do a good job with this, like, we don't care. We're not going to connect Thanos' 6 gems thing. Like, I think it's going to do very well. Sorry, guys, I'm being very distracted. If you could have started your career somewhere else in Chicago, would you have? Yeah. I mean, I wasn't like overly tied to Chicago. It just happened to be that the role was in Chicago, and I didn't mind being in Chicago, and it was dope. But I would have loved any other big city to start. What are your long-term aspirations? Thanks for asking that quick, Kidar. Here's some tangible things. I want a restaurant. I want to make enough money to donate to causes in a significant amount. I want to have a relatively big family, and I want many of my close friends to live close to me so I can host a lot of parties weekly. Does looks matter in finance? I think looks matter in everything. Proves plenty of studies have shown plenty of times that looks matter in most jobs. That's the harsh reality. Favorite part of living by River North and downtown China in general? Access to restaurants and bars and great nightlife and sites. Love this area of town. What do you consider differentiates a liberal arts education versus a regular undergrad on your experience? I think liberal arts really forces you to be uncomfortable and get out of your own shell and talk during class. I had classes with 5 people, at most 20 people. It encourages people to be really opinionated and build a network and get really good at talking to people that might be different from you. I think that's a very important skill to have, and a skill in this era of so-called open-mindedness that people shy away from. I think I love having my liberal arts education. Would you be down for a Zoom date? Lol, shooting my shot. I don't know if that's serious or not. I don't like. Kathy, I'm sure you're a very cool lady, but I don't want to be one of those like creepy YouTubers that uses this platform to like, in a romantic setting. I'm sure you're a wonderful lady, but I'm not like huge on like online meetup thingy-mabobs. If you need career consulting, I'm happy to do it. There's a link below, but that's my awkward boy answer. Thoughts on GME squeeze? What is going on? I know the crux of it, but like, and I participated in it, like the whole big GME day back in February. I made like a couple $100 on it, but I'm too scared to participate in it again. How do you stay motivated? I'm constantly procrastinating. Aaron, I'm currently constantly procrastinating. Like, this is all a scheme. Everyone who says they're like 4 a.m. running 4 businesses, like human inherent nature is procrastination. Constant motivation is impossible. Which cuisine for your restaurant? I don't have a cuisine in mind. I kind of want like a low-key, small, for my friends only restaurant where like I change up the menu every day and like it's more of like an intimate experience. Why did you initially choose investment banking or something such as global market? I chose investment banking because it was the easy thing to do out of my university. I wasn't able to land any summer internships in my first year. How important is that? It's not that important. You can always play it off. People understand. You're a freshman. Do you think going into any bulge bracket bank or do you need to network? I don't know the first part of the question. You do need a network. What are your thoughts on real estate investing careers? I have a lot of friends in real estate. I don't know anything personally. Real estate's huge, but real estate market right now is tight, very tight. Sorry, guys. I have to hop really soon because my friends are here that I have to meet, but I will stay for a minute and 20 longer because I want to keep true to the time. I'll ask for random questions, but for those who are joining, for those of you online, I do this every Wednesday, usually at 10 p.m. Eastern, sometimes earlier, like today. If you guys need one-on-one consulting, check the links below. But thanks for joining. Let me speed through these. New to the channel, but just want to thank you for answering our questions. Let's go. How do you procrastination? You can. Just gotta have spurts of motivation. Favorite music artist right now, A$AP Rocky. Do investment banks teach you how to manage your money? No. But there are people at investment banks that probably do teach you. How can I network as a freshman who has little to no real? People will be happy to talk to you if you have some level of connection to them. King man, go find that queen. GME is just about gambling, which is crazy to think about. Yeah. Thanks for responding. Yeah, appreciate it all. Yeah, thank you. Obama impression before you go. I will. I haven't done it in a while, so it's not gonna be that good. But I want you to know. Well, it's a little off. Kyle, I want you to know. You go to healthcare.gov and sign up for Obamacare today. guys, I'm probably gonna have to hop in 22 seconds. What do you do when you mean there's an evil you cannot? Okay, whoa. Old Rocky versus New Rocky. Old Rocky. Yeah, thanks guys for joining. I probably have to go down and help these folks out, but thanks everyone for joining as always. I will see you guys next time. Let's go.